And $100,000 is the new $50,000. Because how you even surviving if at minimum you ain't bringing in $100,000 a year? So, like $100K a year, especially, is like the $50K. But because most people ain't even touching that a year, the conversation starts to be different. So this is what it sounds like. $100K ain't no money because you still can't even really barely live in this type of economy off $100,000. But problem is, most people out here ain't even making $100,000 a year. In fact, most people aren't even touching past $70,000 a year. And you also got to remember that $100,000 ain't really $100,000. This conversation all the time. When I say $100,000 ain't really a lot of money, it really just depends on your type of situation and how you're living in this type of economy. If you having kids back to back, I'm sorry, no shade, no judgment zone, but you ain't really eating good. You ain't living good. It's hard to build something with that $100,000 and all them kids with no potential secondary support. And that's even more sad for the single people with no kids, because then you get into these jobs where they really start treating you some type of way because you don't have kids, and they don't even want to pay you that type of money because they know if you had that type of money, you'd be balling out.
Making $100,000 a year is the new minimum wage. If you make less than $8,000 a month, I literally don't know how you survive. Every single time you leave the house in today's economy, you're spending $100. You go to the grocery store for 3 days worth of food, you're spending $80. You go out to lunch and get a coffee, there's $25. Fill up your gas tank, there's $50. So you're mindlessly spending $3,000 a month right off the bat. So you're already $3,000 in the hole. Then you pay for rent or your mortgage, you pay for car insurance, you pay for your lease or your monthly car payment. There's another $2,000. Before you know it, you're spending $5,000 a month just to survive. Then if you're a social human being who likes having fun instead of penny pinching every last dollar, you're spending $1,500 a month on entertainment, going out, trips, dinners, sporting events, all that fun stuff. If you make less than 6 figures a year, you're losing money every single month just staying alive and living your day-to-day life. I already know what the comments are going to say. Oh, you can make your coffee at home. You can cook your meals at home. You don't have to have a nice car. You don't have to have a nice place. You don't have to go out and socialize with your friends. You don't have to take trips. And that literally proves my point that $100,000 a year is the new minimum wage, because penny pinching your way through life for every last dollar is not how you should live. Missing out on fun dinners, fun trips, fun nights out, cooking at home, not going out to eat, all because you want to save a few bucks is not how you should live. Instead, you can just make more money and not have to worry about these things.
I make over $100,000 a year, and my monthly expenses are $4,000. Where's my money actually going? Like, where is it literally going? I should not be struggling. I just sat down and looked at all my bills.
$100K a year is definitely not enough money, especially if you're a woman. And here's why. The most dangerous aspect of normal is normal makes you think everything is fine until it's not. And all of the unexpecteds. There's a lawsuit, somebody gets sick in your family, there's a divorce, somebody loses a job, you're wiped out. There's no abundance. There's no plan. If you want to protect yourself and your family, you have to have reserves, you have to have abundance, and that's more than $100,000 a year. No one does this area better than Grant Cardone, but you should have a little bit of savings, a little bit meaning 10 grand, 20 grand, 100 grand. More than savings, I would be putting the money into an income producing asset and being able to depend on myself for earned income. You don't have a savings problem, you have an earning problem. You should be able to afford anything you want as long as you know how to make money.
I never thought I'd see the day where $100,000 isn't enough in this economy. That's what the news reported, that the average lower class American, they're considered lower class now if you make $100,000 a year. So if you make $100,000 a year or less, you're considered lower class. And the average person making $100,000 does not qualify to buy a home. And they possibly qualify to get on government assistance because it's just not enough in this economy. When did the American dollar start to go down? Because it's happening. The value of the American dollar has gone down substantially, and that's why the goalpost is being pushed, because as we're meeting these goals that was set, the standards that were set by our parents to get a job, go to college, we're meeting these goals and it's still not enough. I legit make more now than I ever have, and I'm struggling. Literally. Some days I still have to get out there and DoorDash, Walmart deliver, just to make ends meet. And this is a two income household. So tell me when this happened. Like when at one point $100,000, like that was more than enough in a year to survive, to go on vacation, to live comfortably. That's what I want to know. When did this become the new norm, where $100,000 is considered low income, where it's considered not even middle class? I don't even think middle class even exists anymore.
People have been living paycheck to paycheck for a while now. But the fact that evictions are becoming more common, it's just that bad, because you have people saying they only pay $1,000, $1,100 to $1,200 in rent and they're being evicted. Let's just shoot it straight, right? The pay doesn't match the economy that we're living in. It gets to a point where you could take all the budgeting classes, hear about all the financial advice, but you just can't do something with nothing. God can carry you through. Don't get me wrong. Pray about it. Sleep on it. He's going to always show up for you when you need him. But you just cannot budget your way out of poverty. You can't manage finances that you don't even have. People are real deal struggling, and so it leaves them with the option of relying on family members. And here's the thing with that. They go live with family members, and then people who are also struggling or who are barely above water trying to live their life, they sometimes get upset because they also don't want the burden of having grown adults with sometimes even children, multiple kids, coming to live with them, and they're not able to pay anything in rent. They're not able to help out on the bills because they don't make enough money. People are having to rely on villages that they don't have. Let's just be completely honest. That's why it's so hard for a lot of people. People with multiple degrees, certifications, a bunch of education just want any type of job just to stay afloat. They're no longer even concerned with fighting their way to the top to climb the corporate ladder to have the best job possible that matches the degree that they went to get. They just want a single job.
Almost 1/3 of Americans earning $150,000 a year or more report living paycheck to paycheck. So are these families overspending, or has the economy gotten that bad? Let's take a look. Let's take a family of four making $150,000 a year minus taxes, health insurance, and 401k leaves them with a take-home pay of $100,000, which is $8,300 a month take-home. That is a lot of money. But let's say they bought a house after 2020. Their payment out the door with property taxes, utilities, and everything is $3,500. Groceries for a family of $4,000. Daycare, $1,500 for 2 children, which is being very generous. Let's say one of them have a student loan for $500. They have one car paid off, but they have another car for $500. $300 for car insurance, $200 for gas, $200 for cell phone, $200 for personal care, haircuts, doctor's appointments, $100 for subscriptions, Netflix, Dropbox, and then let's give them $300 for fun, a babysitter, and a night out once or twice a month. Leaves them with $8,300 in bills. So they are living paycheck to paycheck, and this doesn't include any savings, extra principal payments, clothing, school supplies, car maintenance, emergencies, or vacations. But the frustrating part is that this lifestyle was obtainable in 2019 for about $60,000 to $70,000, and that has doubled now.
In today's economy, do you think a couple that brings home $100,000 is enough to support a small family of like 3 to 4 people? I asked this because I made a post yesterday about how Americans are really struggling, and it was really sad and eye-opening to me to see the amount of people who said, I make 6 figures now, yet we're still struggling. And I don't mean is it enough to buy like luxuries. I just mean, is $100,000 enough to live comfortably without having to live paycheck to paycheck? I remember like 12 years ago, my mom told me about this couple I knew who were making like a combined salary of $110,000. And at that point in my life, 20s, I'm thinking, what a dream, what a goal it was for me to be able to say one day that my husband and I were making like $110,000. And now here I am in 2023, and I'm like, it's not the dream life anymore. Like if someone would have told me my husband and I would be making what we're making and still having to cut back on necessities, I would have been like, you have to be kidding me. Like we didn't even go on a vacation this year because the last thing I'm going to do is put a vacation on a credit card, but we didn't have extra money to bring our kids on a vacation, and we both have good jobs. So if you think $100,000 is enough, I'm curious, what's your location? Do you not have children? Like why do you think it's enough? Because I'm telling you from yesterday's post on here, the comments say different, and the comments say that a majority of Americans are really, really struggling, and I mean hardworking Americans. So
I make $100,000 a year. Am I poor to you?
Yes, technically, yes. 100K is the new broke. A lot of people making six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck. This is no longer the early 2000s. Life is changing. Inflation is at an all-time high. The cost of homes, the cost of goods are so much higher. Making six figures 10 years ago was impressive, but it's no longer impressive today. I live in Miami. You can't get an apartment for less than $5,000-$6,000 here. How the fuck you only gonna make six figures?
Can someone please grab this guy's microphone and just take his camera too? If you're broke and you make 100K a year, you're just shitty with money. If you live in a major city like New York, LA, Miami, it might not be sufficient based on your lifestyle, but ain't no way you're broke, bro. You might not be as comfortable as you want, but what is this guy talking about? The problem is people love to spend above their means. You know, buying an expensive car, gotta pay heavy ass insurance, living in a very expensive high-rise apartment. If you do that, then that's on you. There is no freaking way all the apartments in Miami are like 5K, 6K. That's just freaking ridiculous. The average person in the United States makes 50K a year. Are you trying to say the average person in the US is broke? If you're single and you don't have that many responsibilities and you make 100K a year, that's not bad. If you got a family, you know, wife and kids, that's a whole different story. At that point, you're better off earning more money, but damn, these influencers, they're all out of touch.
For a long time, many people believe that earning $100,000 a year meant you had a comfortable life. But today, many Americans say that isn't true anymore. The reason is simple. The cost of living has gone up. Rent and house payments are higher. Groceries cost more. Gas is more expensive. Childcare insurance and healthcare are also taking a bigger part of the people's income. After paying all these bills, many families say there isn't much money left to save or to enjoy life. Some are even taking on second job or extra job just to stay on top of their monthly expenses. This doesn't mean that everyone earning 100,000 is struggling. Where you live, the size of your family, your expenses all make a big difference. But many people say that a six-figure salary doesn't stretch as far as it did just a few years ago. That's why many Americans are asking the same question. If $100,000 doesn't feel like enough anymore, how much income does it take to live comfortable today? Thank you.